Alright, hello my wonderful students. This is going to be the last video for the Foldable 5, but I wanted to leave this here because I noticed at the end of the video, I kind of had this part cut out, so just in case you didn't have it from the last video, go ahead and add this part on. Alright, so I'm going to go ahead and move to the last part of Foldable 5, which is our tri-foldable. Alright, so for this one we have 2 times square root of 14 over our square root of 7 plus square root of 2. So same thing, we're going to use the conjugate because that's how we're going to rationalize the denominator. So of the denominator. Make sure it's of the denominator, okay? So instead of actually making this equal and writing this again, I'm just going to use this expression here. So I'm just going to multiply this by the square root of 7. But this is plus, so this has to be minus the square root of 2. And I'm going to put this over square root of 7 minus square root of 2 so that this is actually 1. So it can show that I'm actually multiplying. I'm multiplying by, oops, not be 1, we're multiplying by 1. It's a bouncing noise. Oh, that's the actual thing. Okay. Put something there so it doesn't bounce when I write. Alright, so in order to do that, we're going to do the same thing we did before. We're going to do a little mini one here. Mini box method. Alright, so we're going to have our denominators first. We have our radical 7 and our positive radical 7, or radical 2. And then we have our radical 7 and our negative radical 2. So we have our radical 7 times radical 7. Give us our radical 7 squared is equal to 7. We have our radical 7 times our radical 2. Positive. This would give us our radical 14. Then we have our negative radical 7 times our radical 2, which gives us our negative radical 14, which is fantastic. And then we have our last one, which is our negative radical 2 times 2. Gives us our negative radical 2 squared, which is equal to negative 2. Okay, so we're going to go ahead and make this 7 negative 2. And then make this positive root 14 and negative root 14. So we can already see these are going to go to 0. So we're not even going to worry about it because these add up to 0. So we're going to rewrite our equation. We have our 2 binomials on top that we have to multiply again, which we'll do down there. But we write it first, so I'm going to rewrite it as 2 plus radical 14 times radical 7 minus radical 2 all over our denominator of 7 minus 2. 7 minus 2. Okay? So now we're going to do another little mini one. I'll just show you. Let me just do this. I want to separate the mini ones just in case. Show this actually goes there. Alright, so we're going to do another little mini one here. Oops, move this paper a little bit. We go whoop and whoop. And then whoop and whoop. I know I'm going to need more space on the bottom, so I'm just going to go and do that. Ooh, shadows. Alright, so we have our 2 and our radical 14 positive, and we have our radical 7 and our negative radical 2. So these multiplied together would be 2 radical 7. These multiplied together would be negative, forgot the 2, negative 2 radical 2. Okay, now we have our radical 14 times 7, but 14 is actually 2 times 7. 2 times 7. So I can rewrite this as, let's do it over here. We have radical 7 squared times 2, because there's 2 7s left, and the radical 2 comes out, or radical 2 stays over there. So the radical 7 squared can come out as 7 radical 2. So once again, I'll do that again. So 14 was 2 times 7. So I have 2, 7, and 7. 7 and 7 make 7 squared with the 2 left over. The 7 squared reduces with the square root, and we're left with 7 square root 2. Then we have a similar problem over here. We have minus the square root of 14 times 2, but 14 is just 7 times 2 again. So this ends up being the radical negative of 7 times 2 squared. 2 squared will come out as a 2, so negative 2 square root 7. Okay, and I'll mark these again in color. So we have a 2 square root 7, then a negative 2 square root 7. And if you can see, these are opposite pairs, so they'll factor out. And then we have our 7 radical 2 and our negative 2 radical 2. So we're going to go ahead and rewrite this. I'm just going to use all of it so you guys can see, but I'm going to start here with our negative 2 square root 2 plus our 7 square root 2. And I'm not even actually going to write these, because you can already see that these here are going to go to 0, because positive 2 square root 7 and negative 2 square root 7 add to 0. Okay, we're going to put this over our 7 minus 2, which is 5. And go ahead and do distribution. We see that negative 2 plus 7 times square root 2 over 5. Negative 2 plus 7 is actually 5 over 5 square root 2. 5's reduced, and we're left with our square root of 2 as our final pink boxing for this foldable.